Now, the good news is the exciting craziness of Mad March is almost over. But the good news is there's plenty more coming. So don't relax yet. Of course, Mad March consists of the Adelaide 500, the Fringe, the Adelaide Festival, WOM Adelaide and the Adelaide Cup, and more. Hope you enjoyed them all, and they've all done really, really well at the ticket office as well, which is great news. Events like these just continue to grow and grow in South Australia, and that's the wonderful part of all this. And as I said, never fear, there's plenty more to come. And one of the departments responsible for a lot of these events is Events South Australia, and the boss is Hitaf Rasheed, and she joins us now. Hello there.
Hello, Alan. How are you?
Mad March, the part of Mad March is over. Do you need to lie down? A Bex and a lie down and a sleep?
My voice is going, I've got to say, so that might be an indication, although you never quite get to as much as you want to because, there's so much going on.
Yeah.
But it's an amazing time of year, and I think that, we're so lucky. I just think there's nowhere else in Australia, or maybe the world, that you want to be in that February-March period.
It is crazy, isn't it? But the thing that amazes me is it continues to grow year by year by year. I mean, record-breaking Fringe, record-breaking WOM Adelaide again. Festival.
And festival as well, yeah.
And it just continues to grow and grow.
I've got to say, you think how can those events in particular keep getting those double-digit growth, but they do. So I think the good news about that is they're both expanding the audience in South Australia, but also more people are travelling from interstate to come. So the audience is growing that way. And I think the great thing about those festivals is everyone wants to continue to grow. No one sits still, and I guess that's innate in festivals anyway. But, you look at what they do, say the Fringe with the, Parade of Light on North Terrace was insane, and everyone's just continues to do great programming. And I think that's the exciting thing is that it continues to grow and it continues to grab the attention of everyone around Australia and the world.
So what's your role in this? What does Events South Australia do?
Yeah, so we do a few things. So we own and manage 6 major events. So in that Mad March period, Adelaide 500 is one that we own and manage. And then we sponsor a range of events, and the WOM Adelaide is one that we're particularly involved in. And then we, as a Tourism Commission, and Events South Australia sits within the Tourism Commission, we market the calendar events. So we help market calendar events, and we help bring in unique elements of the event. So we supported the festival in bringing the Hamlet production to town. So, we have a range of events, both of roles, both as event managers, supporters. I chair a major events group to make sure that there's good collaboration between the event organisers, particularly in that Mad March period. So I'm very, very lucky, and we as a team, very lucky to have such a great opportunity.
Why is your unit, the Events South Australia, as opposed, why is that separated from SA Tourism?
Wouldn't it make sense? Part of tourism, actually.
Wouldn't it make sense to all be in under the one portfolio then?
We are. So I report to the Chief Executive of the Tourism Commission.
Right.
And absolutely, mate. It's funny you say that, Alan, because South Australia was the leader in setting up a major events arm. It was a response to when we lost the Grand Prix. And so they set up as Australian major events, independent of the Tourism Commission, and then all the other states sort of followed and set up major events arms, and then we were the first to jump in and said, there's a better alignment to South Australia was a leader in actually putting the events unit within the Tourism Commission, which, as you say, makes absolute sense. And now every other state has followed, and Victoria was the last, and they've all gone into tourism, so they've created, so I think it does, we work hand in hand. I mean, in the end, we can't sustain it by South Australians alone, and also we don't want to. We want people to travel here. We want them to spend their money. We want to create jobs, and that's what we're all about.
So how much is it difficult to walk that fine line between marketing these events to the locals, but the big bucks really comes from interstate, doesn't it? You want people to come in here because when they come here, they stay, they spend, they eat, they drink, and they look around. Is it difficult to sort of balance those two acts?
Yeah, and I think when you've got big ticket items, you want to sort of be able to hold some proportion of those ticketing for the interstaters. You don't want to sell only to locals. As much as you want South Australians to enjoy it, we want people to travel here, because bringing people to travel, as you say, they stay in accommodation, they eat out, they go to the shops and they shop and they spend their money, and ultimately we all benefit from that because it's money into the state that goes around and creates jobs. So, I know for us with Tasting Australia, for example, we have some big ticket events, and often South Australians snap them up first. So you need to try and put some mechanisms in place to make sure that your interstate visitors can get some as well.
And the WOM Adelaide and so forth, the festival, classic example, about 50% is interstate tourism.
Yeah, WOM Adelaide's the biggest
huge,
of the lot, and I think it's amazing that but it's so unique. I mean, this World Music Festival in this beautiful botanic park, and again, I think that, and I'm by no sense an aficionado in this area, but I think the programming this year for WOM Adelaide was unbelievable, and I don't know about you, but there are feathers everywhere at my house. I looked at them as I was driving out this morning. I saw feathers in my driveway. I'm like, I don't think I'll ever get rid of those feathers, but what an absolute spectacle.
Upset the greenies, but it was good fun.
It probably did, but it was an absolute spectacle. I saw it twice and I was just in awe of it, and I think, to the Arts Projects team that delivered that, it was unbelievable.
Yeah. We're talking to Hitaf Rasheed, the Executive Director of Events South Australia. If you've got any comments or questions, give us a call, 822 300 0000. I've got to ask, Hitaf, do you reckon, given what happened on Saturday, you're now going to be answering to a new minister, effectively, who that is, we're not quite sure. Are you expecting any major changes?
Look, it's way too soon to know. I haven't even, our new minister hasn't been appointed, and so it's way too soon to know. What we do know, I think, is that both the Liberal and the Labor Party in the lead up to the election acknowledged the importance of the visitor economy, and tourism was seen to be very important, and major events within that was certainly focused. So, I have confidence that, we've usually had bipartisan support certainly in the events industry, and often whether it's Labor or Liberal, I think they all see the value of these major events and of tourism. And I think, we've had massive growth in the tourism, in the visitor economy. We've got an $8 billion goal to 2020.
Yep.
We're at $6.3 billion, and, we're very focused on that. And I have no doubt we'll continue to get support.
Yeah, that's a really good point, isn't it? As long as you keep on growing at these record rates,
absolutely,
you would think there'd have to be bipartisan support. Can you share, how big is your budget?
Well, it depends, I guess, on how much money we bring in, because obviously, our budget is determined by not only what we receive from government, but also what we generate through commercial and through ticket sales. So, it varies depending on what we've got, how big the product is or whatever. So, it's around $60 million in round terms for the events that we run and etc. But as I say, it's a combination of revenue in and government investment.
So do some subsidise the others? What's your biggest makers, or what's your biggest loser?
Well, is
your Adelaide 500 in a bit of hot water?
The Adelaide 500, we just celebrated 20 years, and I think it's an amazing event. I think it gets a bit of a bad rap at some points because of road closures, etc. But the truth is, when you speak to the people at supercars and you speak to people, the motorsport fans around the country, the Adelaide 500 and Bathurst are the two big ones. They're the marquee events. We just celebrated 20 years. We haven't got our economic impact numbers from this year's event, but up until for the first 19 years, $545 million came into the economy thanks to the Adelaide 500. $545 million. $39 million last year in 2017, an event which was seen to be not particular, was criticised in some ways. We had 90,000 people come into the park on Sunday. We had to stop selling tickets, and we had a sellout crowd with Robbie Williams, which was fantastic. I truly think it's a fantastic event for South Australia. It is iconic. It generates significant media coverage, 50% of which, more than 50% of which is interstate media coverage, and tells the story of South Australia and great broadcast. So, look, events have life cycles, and, sometimes they're sort of this is a 20-year, it's a mature event.
Yep.
Yes, we have to keep evolving it. Yes, we have to see where supercars are going. There's been, obviously manufacturing and Holden and all those things that have changed. But I think it's a fantastic event. I've been privileged enough to be responsible for it, particularly for this last one, and to get to understand it better. I think we've got a great opportunity. I think it's a fantastic event. We need to continue to focus on its growth, and we've got a great opportunity to leverage off a great, successful 20 years.
Why then can't we find a sponsor?
Well, And it's not unusual, I mean, not to be able to, when you've had such a long period for a sponsor. 18 years is unheard of. You know, probably the only other longest sponsorship is Toyota with the Adelaide Crows. And it's a very long sponsorship, and there's a big legacy of that sponsorship. People still call it the Clipsal.
Oh,
and
I've made that mistake a few times on air, yeah.
Exactly, and people are working on it. You know, they still call it Clipsal. We've called it Clipsal for 18 years. It's not a surprise to everyone. So I think sponsors are aware, you know, potential sponsors are wary of the fact that, you know, particularly in the first year, there was going to be that legacy, and maybe they weren't going to get the value for money. But also, from our point of view, we want to make sure the partner's right. So we wouldn't just do business, you know, make a quick decision. We want to make sure it's a partner that's going to be with us for a long time. You don't want to keep changing your name.
No, yeah, exactly.
And also, there was something, in the end, there was something nice about celebrating our 20th as the Adelaide 500. We started as Sensational Adelaide 500 in the very first year. Mm-hmm. We had 18 years of Clipsal, and then we had the Adelaide 500. I think that everyone would agree it was a very successful event, and it was a great way to celebrate 20 years, both with motorsport and with the entertainment that we put together. We went hard after the family market to build our future motorsport fans and Adelaide 500 fans, and you know, we've had some really good conversations both prior to this year's event and since this year's event, and so we'll continue to work to get a naming rights.
What would you say to people, though, who criticise you for having a big name like Robbie Williams? Why did the government have to basically bankroll to get him here?
Well, we've had big names all along. You know, we've had Kiss, we've had Chisel, we've had big names all along. You know, Kiss was probably the biggest in terms of tickets.
But is that the government's role, to be bringing those big stars in just to support another event?
Well, I see it as part of the event. You know, it's not, this event isn't just a motorsport event. It's a full family entertainment event. And the concerts have always been part. And in fact, it's been part of the Grand Prix prior to that. So big Sunday night concerts have been part of our heritage in South Australia. And it's certainly not new that we've brought, we had a big act, and it was fantastic that Robbie wanted to come and that the response was as positive as it was.
And it was, wasn't it?
It was
I didn't go. Did you? You would have been there. Was he as good as he was billed to be?
I think he was fantastic,
yeah.
And he was really generous. And actually, not that you live by this, I'm sure someone else is writing it, but if you look at his Instagram accounts, he played in Geelong, he played in Sydney, he played in Auckland, played in Adelaide, and if I haven't seen since ours, but he had a comment after each one. And it was like, thanks, Sydney, or did you enjoy the view, Auckland, where he's showing them his bottom. But for Adelaide, it was this long, you know, piece about how special it was and how the fans went along with him and how much he enjoyed it. And I think that the fans really turned it on for him as well.
Yeah, fantastic. Really good. We're talking to Hitaf Rasheed, the Executive Director of Events South Australia. We're going to have a look at what's in store for the rest of the calendar for this year, straight after this. Welcome back. 10 minutes away from 2 o'clock. And after 2, don't forget Dr. Derek McNair, our resident vet, will be in to answer all your pet queries. But in the meantime, we're talking to Hitaf Rasheed, who's the Executive Director of Events South Australia. And they control all the big things like the Adelaide Fringe, the festival, the Adelaide Cup, Adelaide 500. You don't actually control those things, do you? I'm actually misquoting you there.
No, you are. You just elevated me, but that's okay.
Yeah, I'm just giving you a big promotion.
Apologies.
But look, there's lots of other things too that you do look after.
Yeah.
For example, Santos Tour down over. We were just talking about that during the commercial break.
Yeah.
I think the coverage, the world coverage of the Santos Tour is absolutely astonishing. What pictures we send all around the world of our state.
Yeah, I think the beauty of that event is that we control the pictures. So we actually produce the TV ourselves. We hire the company to produce the TV, and then we distribute it through the various channels. And the Nine Network are a great supporter and our broadcast partner in South Australia. But it goes to the world, as you say, and it goes to our key tourism markets. You know, it goes to New Zealand, it goes to the US, it goes to the UK, it goes to France, Germany. So it goes to our key tourism market, goes to China. So, you know, and the pictures are beautiful, and and I think that's why councils love the Santos Tour Down Under going
the fact that you get them bidding to have a leg in their area.
It's fantastic. And, you know, we've had really strong, I think we can always tell if we're feeling like the event's going well, and that's by the interest in councils. We had another strong lot of interest from councils to have starts or finishes. And to get that sort of media coverage, to get 30 plus hours of broadcast live into all of those regions and to generate that much media coverage is really valuable for the state, and to be able to control it and tell the stories through our broadcast and even even our commentators, whether it's Phil Liggett or Paul Sherwin or Robbie McEwen, you watch the Tour de France, they managed to slip in a few comments about the about the Santos Tour Down Under as well. It's fantastic. So we've got great advocates both in the cyclists and the commentators and media as well.
What other big ones would you put on the list for this year?
Yeah, well, I mean, we've started off with a great start to the year. We also had the Women's Australian Open Golf, so we have a real sporting feel to the start of the year, and then we move into this great festival period. So we had the Women's Australian Open Golf, and I think that is a great one for South Australia because, we really want to promote women's sport and participation in sport and at the elite level, and to have this event that has 4 of the top 10 women in the world, 8 of the top 20. I mean, you just don't get that for the men when they have the Men's Australian Open. You don't get that calibre of athlete. And also to have them, they're very generous with their time. They'll do a lot of promotion for us and strong into Asia, which is important to us. So, it was great to bring that event. We've had that for 3 years and we've just secured it for a further 3 years.
So you've got it for another 3?
We have. So we announced that earlier this year. And that was really exciting because, again, it talks to Asia and we're going to continue to build with golf. And we've had a few good announcements at the start of the year too, which, swimming is really important to us. And we've got the best aquatic centre in Australia, and to secure a range of swimming events for that Marion area and the precinct, and to have them stay down beach. They love it. And so that was fantastic as well. So we've had the start of the year has been really exciting. We also announced that we've got the NRL State of Origin, game 1 or 2.
I was going to bring that up. What are we doing here? What, hey?
Well, you know what we're doing? We're bringing
league.
tens of thousands of people to Adelaide because that's what we know will happen. We expect.
How did you get that though?
Well, we've been working a fair while with the NRL. I mean, it's certainly been on our target list to get at the State of Origin, and it's because it doesn't matter whether you follow rugby league or not. You want to go, like everyone watches the State of Origin. It's just iconic, and people travel for it. So when Melbourne have had it there, over 20,000 people travel for it, and we expect around that number, about 20,000 people. And they're probably people, and that's what events do. They're a trigger to travel now, and sometimes they inspire people to travel that don't have Adelaide in their consideration set already. They just want to go for that event. And what we'll find is there'll be 20,000 people, maybe 5,000 of those would never have wanted to come to Adelaide. They come and they love it and they go back and tell their family and friends. So we know that one will work. It's a bit like when you bring Liverpool Football Club and you get nearly 15,000 people that travel and they come and they experience Adelaide when maybe they wouldn't. And we know they come and stay and they'll eat and drink and all of those things. So
not bad given you a history of Port Adelaide, but anyway, you AFL rules buff you.
I know, not bad. And we have the Roosters coming as well. So we have South Australia has its own NRL club with the Sydney Roosters, and we had them last year play the Storm, and we've got them coming back on a Friday night game to play the Storm. And we know people again. I think we had about 3,000 or 4,000 people travel for that game from Sydney and Melbourne to come and enjoy a Roosters Storm. So look at me talking NRL.
Yeah, I know. I can't believe it.
I know. Of course, AFL starts this year, and actually, I think Adelaide Oval. If you think about why do we go after things, Adelaide Oval is such an amazing showcase for South Australia. I think people want to travel to it, and AFL footy starts this weekend. Port Adelaide. I think it's on Saturday afternoon. Freo, go the Power.
See, she hasn't lost it. She hasn't crossed over.
I love them. But people are travelling more for AFL games. It's been great for South Australia for both Crows and Power games. People are travelling more to the state for those, which is fantastic.
One of the biggest assets for you in the tourism game must have been us waking up to the fact that the River Precinct is one of our biggest gems.
Yeah, it's amazing. The
Adelaide Oval, the fact that we're now, realise that the lake and the river is we should be facing it, not turning our back on it. It's taken us a long time, but we've realised that must be really, really important in your area of tourism.
Yeah, absolutely. I think to have a stronger recognition of the CBD and of the North Terrace precinct and of the market and the riverbank to market and all of those sorts of things is fantastic. And to turn the festival centre around, open it up to the riverfront, to put food and drink in there, create the plaza, have the Adelaide Oval and the redeveloped convention centre. I mean, it's fantastic for us, and it gives us a great opportunity both for leisure events, for business events, events and for general tourism, to have that area redeveloped and to now be seen as something that's so beautiful and something you want to experience is fantastic.
Now, what about the people who say, we began talking about Mad March.
Yep.
What about people who say it's too mad at March? We should be spreading out through the rest of the year. What do you think?
Look, I think it's pretty mad, but I think it's pretty amazing. I call it Marvellous March myself. But it's beautifully mad. And we've done some work. There was a body of work done a few years ago to look at that and to say, should we spread things out? There's a range of reasons why those events are where they are. They often sit in circuits and those sorts of things.
Yeah, I understand that.
But it generally works pretty well. And I think, that there is definitely value in clustering of events, and so trying to find other clusters at other time of year is something that we've been focused on. And we came off an October period where we created a cluster around innovation, creativity and design, and there were things like the Adelaide Fashion Festival, the Film Festival, Hybrid World, Open State, the Festival Architecture and Design, the Bridgestone World Solar Challenge, where we found a lovely cluster of like-minded events, and that work, and we did some work promoting October as a period of time. So I think what I would say is we've got this great cluster in February, March, but we've got lots going on all year round. It's just not as mad as that summer period, but we do have lots to look forward to for the rest of the year. Don't, never fear, people. I know you might need a few days off to recover from the festival period, but there's plenty, so we might talk a bit about that.
What's your big, your hope for the next 12 months? What's the big highlight? Or give us a surprise announcement.
Oh, gosh. No, all the announcements are done. I've got nothing surprise to give you. But what I would say is there's lots to look forward to. We've taught Tasting Australia, which is between 13 and 22 of April, and there's a great program there. I encourage people to go have a look. But Colours of Impressionism, I think, if you, to head along to the art gallery, I think Nick Mitzovich has done a fantastic job in curating that, and it's on for many months, and that's a great thing for South Australia, trying to find more in winter, to find people, and having something at the art gallery is a fantastic draw card. So I'm looking forward to that. There's some events up in Tailem Bend, and we haven't mentioned Tailem Bend, but I think the work of the Shaheen family in creating this great new asset in Tailem Bend, I think we'll see.
This is the new racetrack.
Yeah, the new racetrack at Tailem Bend, and so they've got a race in the Asia Road Racing Championships, 1922 of April, and there's a lot of regional events too. We should remember and remind people that we are so lucky to be as close as we can, that we could head out into region and enjoy some fantastic regional events. And I think, we talk in the Tourism Commission, if we could just get everyone in South Australia to do one trip into region and spend an extra one night in region, it would make such a big difference to our economy and to our regional visitor economy and to all of the people in region who are running businesses out there.
I've said this countless times on air. We are so lucky. Within 4 hours, look what we've got. We've got the Flinders, we've got KI, we've got York Peninsula, we've got, the Riverland, you name it, it's on our doorstep.
Yeah.
And we need to realise that's part of the reason we live here.
Yeah.
Hey, listen, thanks so much for talking to us and bringing us up to date. And, go on.
Before I go, can I just say winter, there is lots going on, and I know you just gave me the opportunity, but just things like Cabaret Festival, Guitars in Bars, Winter Reds, Umbrella Winter City Sounds, the Guitar Festival. Make sure you get on. We've got southaustralia.com, what's on, and we've always got what the latest events are. I'd encourage people to have a look and get involved.
Hitaf Rasheed, thank you so much, and you can go and have a lie down now. Mad March is over.
Thank
Good
you.
on you.